Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting and spinning and crochet for the most part. Occasionally I pop up what I call a Yarn and Yarns extra video, and often they're related to my making, but sometimes they can be just on days out or the odd topic that I want to chat to you about. In today's video I have all of the usual segments for you: knitting, crocheting and spinning. I also have some fibre acquisitions to chat to you about, and at the very end of the video I'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on in our Ravelry group. So I hope that you'll stick around for that. As you can see, I'm not in my usual recording spot today. I have had quite a busy day today. I had to go out this morning, which means it's now approaching 5 o'clock and I'm only just getting round to recording. So I thought it might be quite fun to set up in front of the Christmas tree, which went up yesterday. So if you get bored of watching me waffle on about my knitting and crochet, hopefully the sparkly lights behind me will give you something pretty to look at instead. Okay, so I think I'll start with knitting this week. I have got 3 works in progress to show you. The first one is the test knit that I'm working on for the lovely Sylvia, who is with Cherries on Top 2 over on Instagram, and I am working on a sweater for her. It's the Caledonia sweater. The test knit runs until the middle of January, so I'm working away on my project at the moment. It's living in this beautiful bag that was gifted to me by one of you lovely viewers. And last time I showed you this, I was working on the second sleeve, so let me just pull out the bits and pieces. First sleeve is finished, you have seen that. And the second sleeve is well underway. The last time I showed you it, we were here where the rainbow marker is. So I've knit up a good sort of couple of inches and I've finished that cable panel on the sleeve. I stopped there because I wanted to get the back and the front. This is a sweater that's knitting pieces, and I wanted to get all of the pieces on the needle and going, purely because if you are a long-term viewer of the channel, you'll know that I run a bricks and mortar yarn shop and I host groups throughout the week, which means that I sometimes have the opportunity to do a bit of knitting in the daytime, and I like to have simple knitting on the go in the shop because I will often be picking it up, putting it down. So I obviously didn't want to work on the cable panels, and the back and the front of the sweater also have a big long sort of section of these cable panels, so I wanted to get those started so that I wasn't in a position where I couldn't work on this sweater in the day. So I stopped because I would be able to work the moss stitch panel, and decided to cast on for the back of the sweater. So I've been working away on that. I cast on and knit the rib in the shop because again that's something that I could work on. And I am now most of the way through that cable panel. I'm so sorry if you can hear my cat in the background. I'm not sure what she wants. She probably wants to go out, but I'm not letting her out in the pitch black. I'm a bit mean like that. So yes, as you can see, I am working my way across the back panel with the cables. I think I've got less than 10 rows to go now to finish that, and once that's done I can start knitting the double moss stitch on the body in the shop as well. I'm using these gorgeous stitch markers that were gifted to me by Dawn to mark out the cable panels on the back there. And also at the shop at the end of last week, I cast on for the rib of the front of the jumper as well, and once that's done I'll bring that home and start working on the cable panel at home, and hopefully alongside it I'll be working on the moss stitch panels either on that second sleeve or on the back of this So yeah, I'm going to end up with lots of bits on the needles, but hopefully it means that I'm going to be able to keep on working on this project over the next couple of weeks. I'm using Rowan Moordale yarn, which is a lovely British yarn. It's Rowan, as you probably know, are a commercial company. The yarn is a mix of wool and alpaca. It's knitting up beautifully. My only sort of qualm is it's relatively loosely plied. You can probably see that on the screen. So with the twisted cables, it can be a little bit tricky, and sometimes the yarn is splitting a little bit, which is slightly annoying, but the yarn itself is beautiful. It's just the yarn and the twisted cable combination that mean that I have to sort of concentrate quite a lot to make sure I'm not splitting the yarn. This is the bronzed colourway. James's parents are visiting us for Christmas. They are arriving in 2 weeks' time. And once they get here, I shall be being a little bit selfish and embarking on my 12 cast-ons of Christmas adventure. So I want to try and get as much done on this test knit as I can over the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping to have that second sleeve finished and maybe the back finished as well. I have to be a little bit careful because with the double moss stitch, obviously it's knit one purl one all the time, and that can be quite hard on my hands. I think I said I had 3 works in progress to show you at the start of this video. I don't, I only have 2. I'm not sure where that came from. So the second project that has seen some love this week are my Going Underground stocks. These are living in a lovely London bus project bag that was gifted to me by my friend Sylvia, and I started these in the middle of November. I went on a 2-day trip to London, and I decided to cast these on as a sort of little travel project. So I finished the first sock, and I decided, because there was a lot of flashing and pulling going on in that first sock, I decided I liked the inside better than the right side. So these are going to be some reverse stockingette socks. So you saw this one finished, and I had started the second one just about last time I showed these off, and now I am a good way down the foot on the second sock. I've probably got about 10 rows or so to go before I start putting in the toe decrease. And can you see how different these socks are? This one is knitting up in a really lovely, just variegated kind of pattern. There's a little bit of pooling going on, but nothing like the crazy pooling in that first sock. I know one's inside out, but I think you can pretty much see the difference in those. So these socks are definitely going to be the same but different. Part of me is tempted to cast on a third sock and see if one matches either this one or this one a bit better, but I'm too lazy to do that. A lot of people get second sock syndrome, which I don't suffer with, but I might be tempting fate with third sock. I'm pairing the main yarn, which is from Unbelievable, and I had it in my stash for a good few years. I bought it at Bristol Wool Fair, which I think must have been at least 5, maybe 6 years ago. But I paired it with some lovely minis from Colourful Creativity. This is her Rainbows but Darker set. So I've got a blue for the cuff, and I put in green for the heel. And on the first sock I just decided to knit the toe in the yarn, the main colour yarn. So yeah, as you can see, not a huge amount of knitting to go before those are finished. So I'm hoping over the next week to get those finished. That's a nice kind of round and round easy knitting project for when I don't want to concentrate on the cables or do the moss stitch on that test knit that I'm working on. I don't have any finished yarn to show you for my spinning exploits this week. I did manage to fill up 2 bobbins full of singles on the combination spin that I'm doing, and if you're new to the channel, I've chatted about that quite a lot on the last 2 main episodes, so if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about that, you can hop on back. So I spin on a Haldane Shetland, which is a vintage wheel. They don't make them anymore, and I managed to spin 1 really full bobbin of singles, And then I got an almost full bobbin on the second lot of singles that I was spinning, and then Edith, as she is affectionately known, decided to be a bit temperamental, which she can be sometimes, and she stopped spinning nicely. So I decided to call it a day and start plying those 2 bobbins. One's going to run out a lot quicker than the other, but that's okay because of the nature of how I'm spinning through this project. It's basically little samples of fibre just picked randomly out of my basket, so I will be able to continue to spin from the bobbin that still has some singles left on it. I'll just add in some more fibre and keep going. I have plied a full bobbin's worth of those singles that I've spun, but I only managed to get round to doing that yesterday evening, so I haven't wound it off onto my niddy noddy yet. So it's all just sat on my wheel, so I'll pop in a shot of what that looks like, but I don't have anything physically here that I can wave at the camera to show you this week. On to crochet, I have got a finished object and a work in progress to show you. The finished object is just a fun little piece that I started along with my crochet group. On a Wednesday morning in the shop, we have a group that are die-hard crocheters, and last year I had a sparkly sort of snowflake type mandala hung in the window, and the group had wanted to make one of these or something similar. So one of the ladies ordered some metal hoops and sourced some yarn for us, and we all had fun on Wednesday starting our mandalas. Mine is pretty much finished. I do need to weave in the ends. So here is my effort. It's a little bit tricky to show off in this light, but I think you can just about see the effect there. We used a pattern from Lilla Bjorn Crochet, and this is, let me get back to the first page, get the title of this. I think it's called the Spirit Mandala. Yes, Spirit Mandala. Mine ended up having, and I think most of the ladies in the group, we didn't finish these in the 2-hour session, but I think most of us have ended up having to cut the mandala pattern short because these rings were a little bit too small for the mandala pattern that was chosen. So I kind of had to make up the outside edging. This yarn, I think the lady who organised this little crochet along purchased the yarn from one of our sort of bargain stores here in the UK. It wouldn't be my first choice for this type of project really, because there's quite a lot of give to it. It's an acrylic yarn, so if I sort of push and pull this, there's quite a lot of stretch and give to it. I probably could have solved that problem a little bit by maybe stopping my mandala a couple of rounds earlier and attaching it to the ring, but then I would have almost just had this centerpiece and maybe the popcorns, and that would have been it, which would have been a shame. So I did carry on and do a couple of extra rounds, but I think the sort of bagginess would probably have been solved if the yarn was a bit stiffer. So if it was like a cotton or a twine with some sparkle, I think that would have held its shape a little bit better, and not had this sort of like stretchiness of the acrylic. But yeah, it was a fun little project that got started and finished quite quickly. As you can see, I've still got a weave in my end. It's flopping around there, but yes, I can see myself bringing this out. You probably can't see the sparkle too well. It's not super sparkly, as I say. It's an acrylic yarn with a bit of metallic thread sort of wound through it, but I could see myself getting this out at this time of year and hanging it on the wall as a extra little Christmas decoration. And then my work in progress for crochet is my granny stripe blanket. This is a pattern by Lucy, who is Attic24, and you can find the pattern over on her blog, which is the Attic24 blog. There is a link to it on Ravelry as well, and my project will be linked down below here. And last week I chatted about this project hadn't seen the light of day for a while, but my lovely friend Caroline, who is Colourful Creativity, sent me a advent calendar, and every day there's been a little mini skein, and most of the mini skeins so far have been from Caroline's own hand dyed yarns, which has just been so lovely, and I have really managed to stick to it, and I've crocheted in a mini every day. I haven't done today's yet, but it'll be the first thing I do once I have finished recording. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and crochet in today's mini. So last week I showed you that I'd crocheted in this lovely rainbow stripe here. So of course I have carried on every day and worked up through my blanket. It's quite a long one, my blanket, but I've put in the minis every day. And I've added a good couple of inches to my blanket. So this is a week's worth of yarn. Most of the minis get me around about a 1 row width or thereabouts. Some are a little bit more, some are a little bit less. So by the end of Advent, I should have added quite a good decent chunk to my blanket. And I've got some yarns that have been sent to me recently already and wound up in my basket, because I'm hoping to after Advent to continue on with this blanket through December and hopefully into the new year as well. So that's everything that I've been working on this week. At the beginning of the video I mentioned I purchased a little bit of fibre, so I thought I would show that to you. The lovely Ellie of Curio Yarns had a fibre update, which has been the first time she's dyed any fibre and put it in her shop since she rebranded to Curio. So I wanted to support Ellie and purchase some of her lovely fibre. So 2 braids have come home to live with me. The first is a blue face Leicester. This is her, she's calling these her trilogies, and it's 150 grams worth of fibre. And I believe there's 3 different sort of colours dyed up and twisted together. This is her Monster Mash colourway. I couldn't resist this gorgeous fluorescent green paired with this lovely sort of rusty brown, and then the deeper sort of charcoal layer in the centre. This is going to ruminate in my stash for a little while. I'm not sure how I will spin it up yet. But yeah, I'm excited to have this one, and I'm sure at some point in 2020, once I've got through my mammoth combo spin, that one will go on the wheel. And then secondly, I have some Perendale fibre, which I've not had before. I was very curious to try this. This did come to me all nicely braided up, but I unravelled it because I was hoping to start it on my drop spindles, and I just haven't found the time or the energy to do that yet. So this is Ellie's Christmas Gone Wrong colourway. It's not as pretty as it was once looking before I wrecked the braid. So yeah, there's lots of really fun colours in this fibre. And I'm hoping I will start spinning this before the festive season is over. With a name like Christmas Gone Wrong, it would seem a shame not to spin it up soon. James's parents are coming to stay with us for a week over the festive period. They should be here, as I say, 2 weeks today. And my spinning wheel usually hangs out here in the living room. I can't sit and spin from our sofa or the armchairs in here though. I have to bring in one of my dining room tables, one of my dining room chairs, and that's okay when it's just me and James hanging out here, but I think when his mum and dad are here there'll be 4 adults in the living room, so I think an extra dining room chair hanging around and my spinning wheel will probably make things seem a little bit cramped. So my wheel will probably go away for a week, but I think that seems to be a good excuse to get my drop spindles out and start on that Christmas Gone Wrong colourway. Before I say goodbye, just a couple of things to chat about. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who left a comment on the last video that I popped up last week. Lots of you seem to enjoy coming to the lakeside with me, and I really enjoyed filming outside last week. And many of you who watched that video will know that I was having a bit of a tough week, or well, it's been a bit of a tough year really, but things got on top of me a little bit last week, and lots of you left really kind messages of support and sent me hugs, which I really, really appreciated. So I just wanted to say an extra special thank you to everyone who has been thinking of me and sending good thoughts my way. I also wanted to say a huge thank you to anyone who has been able to donate to my coffee link. I'm really excited to say that we reached our last goal to fundraise a little out and about trip. So hopefully in January we're going to take a day out to the lovely city of Bath. There's too much going on in the last few weeks of the year for me to plan that trip right now, but I thought it'd be something to look forward to after the lovely festive season is over. I set a new goal over there on coffee. It became apparent to me last week when I was recording outside that once I get recording, the battery on my phone doesn't last very long. I record everything on my phone, and my phone's quite a few years old now. So I think for the out and about videos, I would really benefit from a mobile battery pack so I can keep my phone charged. And so I've set that goal, and I think I'm already close to halfway to meeting that target, because since last we spoke, I've received £12 worth of donations through that coffee link. So thank you so much to everyone who continues to or has supported the channel in that way. It really does help me to try and improve the content that I put up here and share with you. Over in our Ravelry group, we still have our works in progress along carrying on. So if you have languishing projects that you'd like to get off your needles or your hook by the end of the year, please do come on over to the Ravelry group and join us. Anything that you started before the 1st of September is eligible, and that cal goes on through to the end of December. There's a chatter thread and a finished objects thread over there, so please come along and join in the whip along fun. We recently wrapped up our Mount Pleasant knit along. That I hosted in conjunction with Ellie, Curio Yarns. We were both knitting along a Mount Pleasant t-shirt, and you may have seen a little bit of footage of me last week trying to take some finished object photos of mine. I did manage to finish mine in the cowl window, which was great. I had one person in my group finish their project. You didn't have to knit a Mount Pleasant, just any 4-ply sweater, t-shirt type project. And the lovely Killy Loves Amies finished a cardigan, which was absolutely gorgeous. So Killy Loves Amies, I would love to gift you a pattern over on Ravelry. I'd really love to gift you another sweater pattern, but it's entirely up to you. You tell me what you want and I will send it over to you. So either contact me on Ravelry or leave a message down below and we will sort something out. Thanks to everyone who started a project or joined in that cowl. We probably didn't have huge participation because a summer type top at this time of year is probably not most people's priority knitting, but I had a lot of fun making mine. And if you were thinking about casting on a Mount Pleasant, I can highly recommend the pattern. It's a lovely knit, didn't take very much yarn, and yeah, I really enjoyed mine. I'm thinking about starting another really short cowl. In a couple of weeks' time, I will be casting on all of the things. As long-time followers will know, I have a little tradition for the past couple of years where I cast on 12 new projects, and it's affectionately known as 12 cast-ons of Christmas. It's just a way of me getting on the needle some projects that I've really wanted to cast on, either patterns or yarns in my stash that I just haven't found time for. I don't put any pressure on myself in terms of getting these projects finished. I just get them on the needles and then I come back to them as and when. And a lot of you lovely folks out there have said that you want to join me either by casting on 12 projects along with me, which is amazing. Some of you have said that maybe 12 is a bit excessive, and I completely understand that, but that you will be casting on something new. So I'm going to open a thread over in the Ravelry group, and I'd love for you to share what you're casting on. I think we'll start it this week and we'll go till the middle of January. So all you need to do is hop on over to that thread and just share a picture of what you've cast on. You can share as many pictures as you like, and everyone that casts on something along with me in the spirit of my 12 cast-ons will be eligible to go into a prize draw. And I think I will sure gift one person a pattern, and I will also pull out a skein of yarn from my stash to give away for that cowl as well. So I haven't decided a exact closing date, but hopefully by next week I'll have figured it all out. So yes, starting now and going through to the middle of January. That really is everything for this week, so I thank you so much for joining me. I hope the lighting situation hasn't been too distracting. I am still waiting for my studio light to arrive. It went astray in the post, so apparently Amazon have sent out a new one, but it still hasn't arrived yet, so we shall see. That seems to have been a long time coming. But hopefully we've made do, and I shall be back to my normal recording earlier in the day with better light next week. Until we speak again, I hope that you are able to have a wonderful week. doing some of the things that you enjoy. Until next time, great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.